For Anna Atkinson, who's going to come and tell you how to find your inner raven bro. I don't know why it's not playing, Anna. You'll imagine some very, very atmospheric music.
It's going to work now, isn't it? Maybe I'll sing it a bit. There were 3 ravens sat on a leaf, derry down, derry, derry, derry down, down. There weren't 3 ravens, there were actually 7. I'm going to tell you a story about them. This is not about amplifiers or guitars. There once was, and there once was not, a couple. And they longed for a baby girl. The woman got pregnant several times. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Then she had twins, 5, 6, 7 times.
And she died.
All boys. She tried one last time. A girl! Woo! Finally. But when the girl was born, she was pale and sickly and small. The midwife said she may not live long. The parents said, "Quick, boys, go to the well. We'll do an emergency baptism." So she sent the 7 boys to the well. "I'm first. No, I'm first. I've got longer arms and I can reach down the well." "Yeah, but I'm the oldest." They squabbled and fought until they smashed the jug down the well with a big crunch. "Shit. What are we going to do now? What are we going to tell Dad? We just have to not go home." Meanwhile, the parents were pacing up and down. "Where are those ridiculous boys? We'll just have to perform the baptism without them." Those good-for-nothing boys, they can't even collect a pail of water from the well. I wish they'd just turn into ravens. And with that, each boy started to sprout black, oily feathers. Their noses turned into curved beaks. And when they opened their mouths, it came out as a squawk. The 7 boys who turned into ravens flew off into the dark night sky, never to be seen again. The parents were a bit sad, but they had their gorgeous, darling baby girl, and she actually grew up to be quite well. They never told her about the brothers or the ravens. When she was grown up, she overheard some neighbours behind the fence. "Oh yeah, she's really beautiful and everything, but she's to blame for her brothers turning into 7 ravens." What? She ran home and she asked her parents, "Do I have 7 brothers who are ravens?" "Oh, well, we were going to tell you, but you know, the past is the past, we just get on with it." But she couldn't get on with it. In fact, that night she could dream of nothing but black feathers. The next morning, over breakfast, she announced to her parents that she was going to go and find her 7 brothers. She took with her some water and some bread, a very tiny camping chair, don't know why, and Her parents gave her their wedding ring. "Don't forget us, darling, we'll give you this. Don't you make sure you come back." And off she went. She went all across the world until she found the sun. But the sun was hot-tempered and grumpy and angry, and every time she went near him, her skin, pale, started to blister with red sores. So she went to the cool moon. But the moon was cold and callous and creepy. She didn't much like him, so she went to the stars. And the stars were much kinder than the sun or the moon. In fact, each star sat in its own little camping chair. And she sat in her little camping chair, and they stayed up chatting all night. Well, the morning star came up, and the morning star beckoned the girl and said, "Oh, you're looking for your 7 raven brothers, yeah. Well, I know where they are. They're at the Glass Mountain. That's where you need to go. And you might need this chicken bone. Bye." She drank a very strong matcha latte, spiced pumpkin thing, and she made her way to the Glass Mountain. She saw it rising up above the city, shimmering in the light. And as she grew near it, she placed her hands along it. It was indeed made of glass. But there was no door, and she didn't want to shatter it. But there she saw a very tiny door. Oh, but it was locked. But then she remembered the chicken bone. Yes. She went to get it out of her pocket. She unfolded her linen handkerchief and unfolded her linen handkerchief and unfolded her linen handkerchief. Where the fuck was the chicken bone? She'd lost it. Oh my God, how am I going to get to the Glass Mountain? No! She cried into her small, pale, sorry hands. And as she sobbed into them and her tears landed on her palms, she noticed her tiny little pinky finger. It was about the same size as a chicken bone, so she thought she'd try her luck. I think you all need to make a really horrible crunching sound. It worked. There was blood streaming down her arm, but she didn't care, she was in. As soon as she entered the Glass Mountain, her finger miraculously healed. This is quite a cool place. I think she'd been foraging with Tim as well. In the corner of her eye, she spied a very small human, possibly a troll. "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" "I'm here to find my brothers who are 7 ravens." "Oh, the Lord Ravens! Oh, they've gone out foraging with Tim. I'm just making them a light snack. They will be back home soon, but I've only got 7 plates and 7 cups. You can't have any, I'm afraid. Just stand in the corner, please." She was quite hungry because she'd been going quite a long time without any food. So she thought while his back was turned, she might just have a tiny nibble from each plate and a very tiny sip from each cup. Yes, this is going Goldilocks. There was a swirling and a whirring. Lord Ravens were returning. They came back. "I'm starving. What's for dinner, troll?" "Oh, bloody macaroni cheese again." "Oh, I don't care, I'm hungry." And they dipped their greasy beaks into the food and started scoffing. And Raven number 1 said, "I'm not quite as full as I normally am." And Raven number 3 said, "Someone's been drinking my wine." Raven number 7 said, "There is a ring inside my cup." Raven number 5 said, "That lieth there the ring of our parents. This must mean the prophecy is true, and our sister has come to rescueth us." And she popped out from behind the door. And as she did so, they all turned back into brothers. That is the end of part 1 of our story. Part 2. So my name is Anna. I'm an art therapist, and I use stories to explore inner worlds. Some of you here also know me as a tarot artist because I write and make tarot cards as well. but I'm not talking about that. How many of us here have lost touch with our 7 raven brothers? Probably most of us. We could think of them as our 7 deadly sins and their dark feathers. Some of you may have heard of the concept of toxic positivity, which I believe is rife in our culture. Those brothers, oh yeah, they're long gone, good for nothings. Focus on the positive. Inspirational quotes are strapped to every fridge or Instagram post. We grin and bear it. We think we can live without our 7 lost brothers. We think we can disown our shadow. But the truth is we can't. It always catches up with us, mimicking us with its shrieky call. Our shadowy feathered ones will plague us in our dreams, and the old hags of our psyche will gossip about us over the fence. When we meet our shadow selves, yes, we come across some pretty nasty characters, the hot sun temper of our anger, the callousness and resentment of our cold moon. After all, revenge is best served at room temperature on a waxing and waning circle of fine-bone china. Then we find our allies, the stars. The moments of rest when we can just sit on a little camping chair and allow ourselves to shine in a quiet, non-inspirational, ordinary, beautiful way, without exerting any effort. A pinhole of hope in coffee-stained jogging bottoms. This is very Frock Up Friday. Then there are the keys and the lost chicken bones and the moments we might sacrifice a part of ourselves, a finger in this case. How many fingers have you lost along the way? How many morsels have you had to steal when there was no place laid for you at the table? Who is your gatekeeper? Where is your glass mountain? Who locked you out of it? The glass mountain of the soul that can be shattered by a word, a missed call, a sigh. The way the punctuation sits on the page can dictate the cadence and the rhythm of our days, and stories point the way. They tell us when to steal a loaf of bread and a pitcher of water and a wedding ring and run to the other side of the world. The feathered world, where the water jugs that get smashed down wells are not the baptism we wanted, but the one we needed. So next time you spy a raven, wish him well. He might be your brother you always wanted, and you might be his long-lost sister he always needed. Many of the Grimm's fairy tales leave us with more questions than answers. Hearts were never meant to be resolved, only told. Tell me your heart. Tell me your story. Tell me, you were once a raven boy. We're going to have another go at the music. And who is very kindly going to show some images of ways I've worked with people with stories in the kind of dress code of black, white and red, which are incidentally the Jungian colours of the psyche. So hopefully the music will work. If not, you can see some slides of some art, and then I can take some questions. It's going to work. Some images will appear.
They were as black as they
we are. Can we give a massive cheer for Hannah?